to the channel. I am back with Premiership predictions as the Premier League starts again after the short break because of the World Cup. All kicks off on Boxing Day, and this is one of the busiest times of the year actually. The Christmas and New Year period, there's always lots of games. I think there's literally a game from Boxing Day all the way until New Year, so yeah, lots of football to look forward to and to talk about. So yeah, really looking forward to watching all the games. And of course we'll start off with the first round of fixtures. After the break, I think this game's on the 26th, 27th and 28th. So I think it's going to be really hard to actually predict these games though, because it feels like it's like the first game of the season, just because there's no form to go on. Of course, players are just coming back at different times. Of course, because some were involved in the World Cup. Of course, some went further than others, and then I think, of course, players who didn't go in the World Cup have been back in training now for a few weeks, but had no competitive games. Of course, some players did play the Carabao Cup in midweek, but there's been a lot of players that have had friendly games, but they've not had like competitive games. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. This round of fixtures on team news, how many teams will have their first choice out, and so I think it'll be hard to predict, but we'll see how we go. So anyway, let's get on with the first game. So the first game on Boxing Day is Brentford up against Tottenham. Before the break, Brentford were in pretty decent form actually, because their last game actually, they actually beat Man City, didn't they, at the Etihad. A bit of a shock, that one. And I think they'll be a bit disappointed actually that the break came when it did, because they were starting to pick up some good results. On the other hand though, Tottenham were not in great form. They did actually win their last game before the break, but before that, they had lost quite a few games. So I think maybe the break came at a good time for them. But this game, I think it'll be a close game. I think Tottenham will have their star men back. I think Harry Kane and Son will both start. Son went out of the group stage, so he'll definitely play. I think also Kane. I think a lot of the English players involved in the Carabao Cup in midweek, and I expect Kane to be fit and firing. He'll obviously be disappointed after what happened with England, but I'm sure Harry Kane will come back into this game, and I think he'll score as well. And I think Tottenham actually will get the win. I think it'll be close, but I'm going to go with Brentford 1, Tottenham 2. So the next game is Crystal Palace, who are in 11th, and they're up against Fulham, who are just 2 places ahead of them in 9th. Palace, who are actually in okay form. They did lose the game before the World Cup, but before that they had won a few games and were doing pretty well, and they've had a good, solid start to the season. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be mid-table. I think they're not good enough to get into Europe, but I think they're too good to go down. So I think they're going to be where they are around now. Maybe they get top half. That'll be a really good season for Crystal Palace. Up against a Fulham team who had a really good start to the season. Of course, did lose against my team, Manchester United, in the last minute before the World Cup. So disappointing with that, but overall Fulham will be really happy with how the season's going so far. I think this will be a tough one to call actually. I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for Crystal Palace 1, Fulham 1. So the next game is 2 teams that have not had a great first half to the season. That's Everton and Wolves. Everton are in 17th, Wolves are in 20th, and both would have probably been really happy to have the break, in these last few weeks to try and recharge, refresh, get on the training pitch and work on things. And of course now Wolves have got a new manager, that he'll be in charge for his first game, and we'll see whether that could change around their fortunes this season, because it really has been a poor first half of the season. On the pitch, I think also off the pitch there's been problems as well, with the ownership and stuff like that. So we'll see whether the new manager could get the best out of these players, and get away from that bottom three. For Everton, I feel like if Lampard, he's under pressure, but I feel like the board have got confidence in him, because if they're going to get rid of him, it was surely going to be now. So I feel like they're going to stick with him for the time being, see how things go at the start of the second half of the season. And if things don't improve though, he could lose his job. But my prediction for this game, I feel like Wolves will get something out of the game. They could even get a win, just because that new manager's bounce. A bit like Southampton, you always, that first game for a new manager, you always seem to, they always, most of the time, do get a win. But I don't think they'll win this though, but I do think they'll get a draw. So I'm going to go for Everton 1, Wolves 1. So the next game is two teams that were in great form before the break. That's Leicester and Newcastle. Leicester, of course, didn't have a great start to the season. Spent large periods of the first half of the season near the bottom of the table, but they picked up some great results, in the weeks leading up to the break, and then we just disappointed actually when the break came, because they were starting to get some really good confidence in the team, get some great results, and getting up that table. So Brendan Rodgers will hope that is not this break has not ruined it too much, and they can start off where they left off when the break happened. But yeah, this will be a tough game though, because Newcastle are one of the informed teams of the league. They've won their last 5 games, currently in third. Only lost 1 game this season, and no one probably expected them to be up there this far in the season. Of course, eventually, because of course they've been taken over now by a billionaire, that they would eventually be up there, fighting for the trophies. But I thought this season, for me especially, I didn't expect them to be this high up. Of course, there's still a large period of the season to go, and it's going to be obviously interesting now how this break will affect them. Maybe was it good for them, to give these players a little break, and now they can come back, recharge, and ready to go again and try and get into that top 4. But I think that's their aim this season. I think Newcastle is to try and get in top 4, which would be a great achievement for them. Or has the break, come at a bad time, as you say, like one said with Leicester, when you're in great form, you just want to keep on playing games, and maybe we'll see hopefully in the next few weeks whether that for not just Newcastle, a lot of teams, whether the break came at a good time or not. Go to my prediction for this game. I think this will be a close one, just a 1 goal in it. But I'll go for Leicester 1, Newcastle 2. So the next game is the South Coast derby as Southampton entertain Brighton. These two teams are at different ends of the table. Southampton are in 19th and Brighton are in 7th. But of course now Southampton have actually got a new manager, of course. It'll be his first game in charge, since he got appointed. And he probably had a few weeks now on the training pitch with these players to get across his ideas, what he wants. And we'll see now whether that will come onto the field, and whether he can have an impact on this Southampton team to get him out of that bottom 3. Brighton, what a season they've had so far, currently in 7th, and they'll be really happy with how things are going so far. But my prediction for this game, I just feel like just because Southampton have got a new manager, and it always seems to happen, and I think he's been there now a few weeks probably on the training pitch. I don't think Southampton had many players in the World Cup actually, so he would have probably had like his first team for the past few weeks. I'm sure they've had a couple of friendly games as well, so I'm sure now the team will know what the manager wants. So I got a feeling, even though these two teams are at different ends of the table, I just think the team who are in 19, that's Southampton, will win this game. So I'm going to go for Southampton 2, Brighton 0. So the next game is Aston Villa up against Liverpool. Aston Villa didn't have a great start to the season, but they did start to pick up some important wins before the break. Of course, now with a new manager and Emery, starting to get the best out of these players. I always thought, there's some good players. I just thought we needed, a good manager to go in there, and they've got that now. So currently find themselves in 12th, but I think come the end of the season they'll be higher than that. I think they can get into the top 10 this season if they keep the way they're going. For Liverpool though, they've been up and down this season, really, haven't they? They go and beat Man City, who are top, but they go and lose to Forest, who are bottom. They did win their last 2 games before the break. So again, maybe they didn't want this break, they wanted to carry on. But it's what it is, and now they have to make sure they put some good wins together really now, because they're already a few points off the top 4, and there's so many teams fighting for that top 4 that you can't really, not just Liverpool, I think a lot of teams that are fighting for that top 4, you can't really afford many slip-ups now, because there's so, as I said, there's so many teams going for that. So I think this game though, I think again it'll be close, but I'll go for, I think it'll be Aston Villa 1, Liverpool 2. So the next game is Arsenal against West Ham. Arsenal, of course, top of the league, 5 points clear. Fair play to them. They've had a really good start to this season. But the question will be now is, has this break, affected their chances of winning this league? Because they're in great form, and I'm sure they just want to carry on. And of course, they've also lost now Jesus, their striker, their number 9. For, I'm not sure, I think it's like 2-3 months. So that's a big blow for them. So it's going to be really interesting now what they do between now and hopefully the transfer window. And then will they buy someone in the transfer window? I think if they want to win this league, I think they've got to buy a striker. I know Jesus wasn't always scoring goals, but I think he was giving a lot to the team. So they've got to find a way to replace him. Whether they've got someone already in the squad, I don't think they have really. So I feel like they've definitely got to buy someone, or at least loan someone. Because Jesus, when he comes back as well, you're not sure how he's going to be. These next couple of months where they haven't got him, if they haven't got him, this is the time of the season where City will start to not lose many games, not drop many points. So Arsenal really need to win like most of their games, and they've got a bit of a cushion at the moment. But in 2 games, you don't win 2 games. Man City win 2 games, you blow them. So disappointed for Arsenal, Jesus, with that injury. And it'd be a great story for Arsenal to win the league. Of course I want Manchester United to win the league, but if I was going to choose between Arsenal and Man City, which looks like it's going to be between those 2 teams now, I can't see no one else really fighting for that title this season. I would go for Arsenal. I do think City will eventually win the league though, but credit to Arsenal, doing really well this season, and now we'll see whether they can carry that on for the second half of the season. Up against the West Ham team, who were not in great form at all before the break. Lost, I think, their last 3 games, so they probably, the break actually for them became a really good time. David Moyes will be happy that he can have a little break. The players that weren't involved can have a little break. I'm sure now David Moyes will want to get this team fired up again, and get them up that table, because I think they're currently in 16th, I think, at the moment. So they need to. The West Ham have got some really good players, and I'm sure they'll be fine this season. But David Moyes will want to stop the losing streak. But I don't think it'll be in this game. I think Arsenal will have too much for them. I'll go for Arsenal 2, West Ham 0. So moving on to the games now on the 27th, and the first one is Chelsea up against Bournemouth. Both these teams were not in great form at all before the break, especially Chelsea, who lost their last 3 before the World Cup, and probably would be really happy when the break came when it did. They're currently in 8th, and it's going to be really hard for them to get into that top 4. They really can't afford many more slip-ups this season if they want to get into that top 4. For Bournemouth, they're doing okay actually. Have lost the last 4 and 5, but they are in 14th, which is not too bad for a team that's been promoted. But they want to start getting some more points on the board soon, because if not, they could get dragged down into that bottom 3. But overall, I think they'll be fairly happy. But just the last few games have not been great, so they want to stop that soon. But I don't think it'll be in this game. I think Chelsea need to win, and I think they will. I think it'll be Chelsea 3, Bournemouth 1. So the next game is my team, Manchester United, as we welcome Nottingham Forest to Old Trafford. So far this season, we've had an okay season, I would say. Had some great results, and then also some not great results. Currently in 5th, only 3 points off the top 4, so we've still got a great chance of getting into that top 4 this season, and I think it's really important we get that. I love a trophy. It'd be great if we could get a trophy, of course, in the Carabao Cup now, quarter-finals. Of course, got the FA Cup, and of course the Europa League, of course, as well. So it'd be great if we get 1 or even 2 of those. That would be great. But for me, top 4, I think, will be the aim for the manager. Because I think if you get that top 4, it could mean Champions League football back at Old Trafford, which is what all the fans want. We don't want another season of Europa League football. We want Champions League football, and then also, of course, you can attract these top players. I always feel like Manchester United can always attract the big players, but I feel like when you've got the Champions League football as well to give, I think it can help and make it easier to attract players to the club. We're up against the Forest team, who are doing okay this season. Well, they've done the last few games. They've done well. They are still, of course, I think in the bottom. I think they're still in the bottom 3. They did have some good results though before the break. Of course, beat Liverpool. I think they also beat Crystal Palace, didn't they? The game before the break. So they've done actually okay in the last few games, of course, before the break. So again, the break probably came at the wrong time for them, because they were starting to get some good results. They're going to come there. I'm sure they'll make it very, very difficult. They'll probably play on the counter attack, but they've got some dangerous players. And of course, Jesse Lingard will come there, coming back to his old team, and I'm sure he'll want to have a good game. But yeah, I feel like we need to win this game, because you can't afford many slip-ups now, and against home to Forest is a game we have to win. If we want to get top 4, we can't afford any slip-ups in this game. Of course, it's our second game back, because we played in midweek as well. It was a good performance actually against Burnley. It was good to get all the World Cup players back as well. I was a bit surprised actually they did play, but I was actually happy they did play, because it means them coming to this game now with in 90 minutes, or I think most of them played 90 minutes, so that was good. I think Harry Maguire might be back for this game. I think he's the only one that could possibly be back. I think Delo's still injured. Varane and Martinez are both, of course, still out because of the World Cup. They should be back hopefully by next week. So yeah, I think Harry Maguire is the only one that will come back into the squad. I think there might be a few changes though. I think De Gea will come back in goal for sure, and I think Luke Shaw might come in at left back. Maybe even Anthony might come in one of the forward positions, probably instead of Garnacho. And then if Maguire's back, then I think he'll come back, and then Casemiro will move into the midfield with Eriksen and Fernandes. But yeah, my score prediction for this game, I'm going to go for a Manchester United 3, Nottingham Forest 0. So the last game in this round of fixtures is Leeds up against Manchester City. Leeds are currently in 15th. Lost their last game before the break. It was a great game actually. That wasn't a 4-3 against Tottenham. And I think Leeds are kind of where I think they'll be at the end of the season. Mid-table. I think they'll be okay. I don't think they're going to be down in that bottom 3. But also I don't think they're good enough to really get any further up the table. So I think this is where they'll be up against a Man City team who lost their last game, didn't they, before the break? against Brentford, but I don't think that will affect them too much. I expect them to come into this game of confidence because they had a game in midweek as well against Liverpool. So they'll be be up for this game, and I expect them to win it as well. I'm going to go for a Leeds 0, Manchester City 2. So that's all my predictions for this round of fixtures. We'll be back next week to see how well I did. But yeah, it's just great to have football back again. Looking forward now to all the games over this Christmas period. And I'll be back, of course, before the games. I think the next round of fixtures will be on New Year's Eve, so I'll be back before then to do my next set of fixtures, and of course look how well I did this week as well. But yeah, I hope you all have a great Christmas, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.